Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. It's actually the day after I posted the video for this animal, the Jigsaw puzzle board. And I got some problems with this thing, and I'm not going to lie. As I said to some of the folks in the comments, I rushed this. I rushed it bad trying to get it done so I could have a build video out. And that was one of the problems with this. The biggest problem was that I over-engineered it because woodworking, that's what we do. I over-engineered this. Um, I'm not happy with the way it came out. Some of the problems I have with it is I used oak, because bougie, let's make it fancy, and I used oak. This thing weighs a ton. I mean, it's hefty. Okay, it's for jigsaw puzzles. It don't need to be like that. The other problem I had with it was I tried to make fancy drawers, and because of that, now they're not closing correctly. Um, I narrowed out the sides when I didn't really need to for the design that I wanted to do, and because of that, I've had to add an extra layer on. Here's the thing: I'm not happy with it. I over-engineered it. I made it something it didn't need to be, and so in this video, I'm gonna tear it all apart. That's right. I said it. I'm tearing it apart. I'm going to try and save the MDF because that's the only thing I actually had to purchase to build this. So I'm going to try and save the MDF, and I'm getting rid of all of the oak, all of that. Here's the thing. You can build this thing out of a 2x4. And I mean, I had to find it. I got one sitting there that would make it considerably lighter. It would lower the cost if you're planning on building these to sell, and it's just a lot easier to deal with. Okay, so I had one person comment and say, I want to build one of these. I'm going to refer to your video when I do. I'm sorry, I forgot who you were that said that, but don't. Don't watch that video. That video was a train wreck. Um, Hopefully, watch this one. We'll see how this goes. I said in the beginning that there was two ways to build this, an easy way and a complicated way, and I chose a complicated way. And now I'm going to rebuild this the easy way because it's practical and it's quicker and it serves the same purpose. So that's what we're going to do in this video. First, I got to start tearing this thing apart. Okay, I did manage to get the MDF off in one piece, so I can reuse that. This is, hang on, got nails sticking out the bottom. You'll have that. This is what's left, and see how well that was built. So we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to change a couple things. Like I said, and it's going to be better, stronger, faster, tougher, like $6 Million Man. Please tell me you guys know who that is, because part of my childhood is what I'm saying. If you know who the $6 Million Man is, please let me know, please. If you don't, read the comments. I know some of these folks don't know who it is. All right, I'm going to get set up and get ready to start making this whole thing all over again. Okay, so for this new design, which is actually the old design, which is the way I should have built it in the first place. Oh, by the way, I have to say this is not my original design. I actually saw this at an elderly couple's house who likes to do jigsaw puzzles. They're members of the church, and I just happened to stop in on them, and they were working on a puzzle, and I thought it was the greatest thing I ever seen in my life. So basically, I took a couple pictures and drew up my own design. Anyway, theirs was built the way that we're building this one. So for this new design, when it comes to your MDF, you're going to need two pieces that are exactly the same size. Whatever size you're building this, if you say that you want it to be 23 by 30, know that there's going to be a piece of trim that's going all along your MDF. That's what's going to hold the puzzle in place. And so take that into account when you're making your measurements. My wife has wanted this insanely large, so I don't have to worry about if I'm losing a 1/4 inch all the way around. That's not a big deal. But keep that in mind if you're say you're building one for this size puzzle, add a little bit extra because you're going to have trim going around it, okay? So you're going to need 2 pieces of MDF that are exactly the same size. I'm going to go ahead and cut mine down now. And then we're going to get to that 2x4 over there. Start going crazy with that thing. Okay, as far as my dimensions are concerned, pretty much everything's going to stay the same as far as the skeleton of it is concerned. I'm going to be working at 22 3/4 by 30. So I cut this at 31. This has a little bit of warp in it. So that's going to be fun to negotiate. But listen, it can't be any worse than the other one, right? So I'm going to go ahead and true up one side, take my measurement off of that, cut it to the right length. I got some knots in this that I don't know if I'm going to be able to avoid, and I'm just going to have to deal with that as it goes. That's just the way it goes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get these cut up, and we'll go from there. Okay, next I got to cut these down to the right height, width, height. We're talking about from the base up, height. I can do math, it's fine. The other thing that I messed up on was I made the space for the drawers, I made the drawers too thin for what the space was. And so I'm gonna kind of pay attention to that when I'm cutting these down. And the reason I say that is if you're putting puzzle pieces in those drawers and then you have to move it and you do tip it up, all the pieces are gonna fall out because there's nothing there to keep them in place. So I'm gonna make it a little bit better to the drawers than what I did before. Sizes in this case aren't gonna matter. You just look at how you're building yours and just make that accordingly. In my case, my drawers are 1 inch high. So I'm going to make mine, I want to make it 1 1/8 inches, but I know I'm going to mess that up. So I'm thinking I might make it 1 1/4 to give that little bit of leeway. And that way they're not going to really have that much room to flop around. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut these down, and that's what's next. Oop, God, I just poked myself in the eye with my glasses. Check that. I'm going to make a little bit of an adjustment to my fence. I'm a smidgen out. I kind of thought that last night, but I wasn't sure. But I can see up against the miter slot that I'm just a smidgen out. If it was out that way, I wouldn't care. But it's in this way, and that's how things bind up. People get hurt. Holes get put in walls. I ain't putting no holes in the walls. So I'm going to adjust this real quick, and then I'll start getting these cut down. Okay. Sorry, just doing some math in my head there. I need 4 pieces, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 at this length, 4 at 30 inches. And then I need to build my crisscross in the middle. I don't have that much 2x4, and I'm not going to buy that much 2x4 because everybody in 3 counties is using 2x4s to rebuild their house. So, but what I have is I've cut it this way, which is what the height of it's going to be. So I can cut this in half, and I'll get my pieces that way. So that's not my truck, but a nice truck. So that's what's going to be next. I'm going to cut these down. These are 1.5 inches. Of course, half of that is 3/4. So I'll cut that down. Then I'll have all my pieces. I'm reusing most of the drawers, so we should be good there. We're going to cruise on down here 3/4. Oh, it was out 1/8 inch. 1/8 inch this way. Like I said, if it had been 1/8 inch that way, sure, my cuts would have been off, but at least it wouldn't have bound up. 1/8 inch this way will cause a kickback. Someone asked me a couple videos ago if I ever check everything, and I usually do, but I never have a problem with it. I was doing some work on my fence recently to get my gap here to close up, and when I did, I must have thrown everything off. So check your stuff, man. Check your stuff. Be safe. Okay, 3/4. Here we go. And it's time for me to put a new bottom on my push stick because she's hanging on by a thread. Okay, got my pieces cut out. Same as before. I'm going to half lap that in and then get this all put together. But I ain't going to do that tonight. It's a little bit before 6, and I'm finding that my days are getting longer, and I'm getting tireder sooner. And plus, it's cold, folks. It is currently 45 degrees. If I still lived in Pennsylvania, you know, I'd be happy about that. But down here, I'm freezing. So I'm going to do the rest of this tomorrow. I'm finding I get about an hour or two maybe to play in the shop, and I should be able to knock the rest of this out tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so I got what I'm calling the skeleton. You know, what else are you going to call it? I don't know. The innards. Skeleton sounds nicer. In place. The biggest difference between this one, well, not the biggest difference, this one's going to be nicer. The big difference between this one and the previous one is now all of your pieces are the same height. They don't need to be adjusted to put this piece in, or not, just make them all the same height. You're still going to half lap the center. Okay. Just to me, it's easier than trying to bring other pieces in. Now, the next day, from here on out, it's really easy. Instead of trying to sliver a piece in there, we're just going to take a piece, set it on there, square it up to my crooked pieces, and nail it in place. I'm going to pin nail it. I might run a little bit of glue on it, but then I'm just going to pin nail it in place, and then it's ready for drawers. I did resize my drawers because they were off. So that's the next thing on the list I got to do. I'm going to go ahead and get that going. Flip it over, same thing on the other side. Okay, so with my top and bottom on, next thing to do is you're going to put a strip of trim around the entire outside, and that's what's going to hold your puzzle into place. And you can make this as wide as you want. I think I'm probably just going to go 1/4 inch because you don't need a lot. And I'm going to try and get all of it out of this one piece because I'm running low. So as long as I don't screw up, I'm just going to do a 1/4 inch all the way around and slide the drawers in, and this thing's done. And then I can take it in and have my wife tell me what I did wrong with it. Okay, with the addition of the trim, I'm telling you, this is so much lighter than the other one. This thing's essentially done. I am going to run around it with like 120 grit, just to round off the corners. I have a couple places that, you know, the MDF is out of smidge. I'm just going to basically dress it up is all I'm going to do. I'm not changing anything on it. Slide the drawers in. This thing's ready to go into service. So I'll get you a shot here when it's all done. I'm not putting any finish on this one either because it doesn't really need it. It's, you know, it is what it is. So let me get this cleaned up. This one I'll get in the house because this one is going to get put into service. Okay, folks, that's it. It's finished. The drawers do drawer things. What I have left to do is I have to put some kind of handle on the front of the drawers so that I can pull them in and out. But this is the much easier way to build this and the way that makes a whole lot more sense. Even the drawers, I cut a dado in, and then you could just build a frame and tack that onto the bottom of it and call it done. That would be easier. And if you're building this to sell, cheaper. But I'm kind of happy with the way this one turned out. More importantly, the wifey poo is happy with this one, and it's probably quite a bit lighter. So if you're going to follow a video on how to make one of these, don't watch the first one. Watch this one. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. God bless.